So I heard about this plane with 4 passengers that was about to crash. And they realized that there were parachutes, but there were only 3, and there were 4. So the first one said, sorry, I'm the fastest man alive, and I'm needed for the 2024 Paris Olympics. So he takes the first pack and he jumps. Second one said, sorry, I'm the smartest man alive, and the world needs me. So he takes the second pack. He jumps. The third passenger was the Pope. The Pope looked at the other one that it was a Boy Scout. He said, look, son, said, I'm old, I'm frail, I don't have many more years to live, and as a religious man, I beg you, you take the third parachute. And then the boy said, what are you talking about? We're still fine. The smartest man alive just jumped with my backpack. I want to talk today about go for the gold. Go for the gold. And I'm telling you this, I've been reading lately about the Paris Olympics, right, that they are coming. And I've noticed that, at least some of the sports that I follow, the people's been training crazy, non-stop, okay? I don't know if you ever read or saw documentaries about the lives of the athletes that compete in the Olympics. It's insane, the kind of training that they take, because all wants to go for the gold. For the gold, yeah, right? They all want first prize, and that's fine. And that's fine. It's you see, the only problem with that is when you start getting people that they want the gold no matter what. And we have bad examples of that, and some of which I was amazed. They happened many years ago in different Olympic games that now is coming out that they actually use steroids and other illegal drugs. And many years after, they are losing the medals. Have you heard that? Russia has been involved in many of such scandals, to the point that some of the Olympics, they're not even allowed to use their flag. The Russian athletes, they have to compete under the Olympic flag. They're not allowed to use the name of the country because of all the scandals that they were involved in, into trying to get gold no matter what. And I was thinking that that's not a Jewish attitude, to go for the gold no matter what. Trying to go for the gold, training yourself, giving your best, it's great, but not at any cost. And that brings me to this week's Parsha. Because this week's Parsha, the people of Israel were also commanded by God to go for the gold. Literally go for the gold. And I'm talking about the Holy Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, that is described in this week's Parsha. And it was interesting because the Torah says that you have to start with a box made with acacia wood. But then it will have to be covered with gold, not with silver, not with bronze, with gold in the outside and in the inside. So let's try to picture how this was. You start with a wooden box, right? And then you need other 2 boxes. So there were 3 boxes actually. One was gold in the inside, then the wood in the middle, and the other gold in the outside. The 3 layers were necessary for that ark to be kosher. If you missed any of the 3, that ark wouldn't be kosher, and it wouldn't fulfill God's requirement for the Ark of the Covenant. And remember, that ark was designed that way to keep the Torah inside. So I was thinking, what is so special that if one of these 3 elements is missing, then that container is not proper to receive the Torah and to keep it safe. Well, this is very interesting because the first thing that I read about the ark is the ark represents also our lives. Because we all know that we also have to be containers, vessels for the Torah. That's one of the reasons why we study Torah, because we want the Torah inside ourselves, inside our lives. And somehow we also need to develop these three elements that they were in the Ark of the Covenant, because we also have the Torah inside. So the rabbi said the first thing you have to understand is that as Torah scholar, it has to be the same in the outside that in the inside. So you have to be gold outside. You know, sometimes we excel at developing a shiny personality, right? We are so, you know, what we do, we like everybody to like what we do, and we're always there for the photo, right? Get to know the person, and you realize that the inside, they're all the opposite, right? And that's not good. That is having gold in the outside, but not in the inside. Some people are all the opposite, by the way, and they put too much efforts in developing the inside, their intellect, right? To control their feelings and things, but there is no action. There is no development on what we do, which is also extremely important. And if you only develop the inside, there is something missing, and you are not becoming a proper vessel for the Torah. So, you have to be the same in the inside and the outside. But there is something that sometimes we forget, and it's the middle box, represented by the acacia wood. What that does represent, and the rabbi said, that which is the core of the ark, the one that is able to sustain the gold in the inside and the outside, represent a humility. That's why it's wood. You will see, you know, how can you compare gold with wood? Wood is cheap. Gold is expensive, but doesn't matter. The wood was left there on purpose to understand that at the core of all of us, we need to have the humility of the acacia wood. So this is interesting because I was thinking at examples on how some people develop the gold in the outside and the inside, but there is no humility involved in the formula. I don't know if you read the news, you probably did, about what happened in February 8th in Latvia. You know, there is this big women basketball tournament, and Israel was competing against Ireland. And there was this episode that, you know, they both went for the gold, right? But the Irish team refused to shake the hands of the Israeli team. Okay? And the Israeli team could have been very offended and walk away, but no, they decided to play the game anyway. They won 87-55. Talk about karma there. And then at the end, they went again to try to shake their hands and also to exchange gifts. That is something very proper at that time. And again, the other team refused to do so. So I was thinking about it, you know, the Irish team, that's a perfect example of people who, you know, go for the gold, but they forget about the humility at the core. And that's why they fail. Nothing wrong with their skills. They are great athletes. But they forget about the acacia wood in the middle. But then there are cases that are amazing. How people, even though they are going for the gold, they get it. They get it. And they never lose the acacia wood core. And let me share a story with you, because it's also related to the Paris Olympics. This is from a different Paris Olympics in 1924. Okay? There was the story of an American rower. He was great at canoeing. And he was the favorite to win the Olympics in his category. And what happened is, right before the Olympics, you know, he realized that his wife, that he was pregnant, is going to give birth to his firstborn son. And now he had a dilemma. should he go to the Olympics, knowing that he will miss the birth of his son, or he should stay home to witness that magical moment? And he decided to stay. Everybody was so upset with him because that was the pride of the generation, the best rower of a generation. And he decided to stay because he understood the priorities in life. He stayed, and it was fantastic. Now, his son also became, eventually, a rower under the mentoring of his father. 24 years later, he went to compete in the Helsinki Olympics, 1948, in rowing. Eventually, during the Olympics, this man's father receives a telegram from his son. And he said, "Dear Dad, thank you for waiting around when I was born." He said, 24 years later, I'm coming home with your gold medal. That is a perfect example of somebody who developed gold outside, inside, but also remember the humility at the core. And I believe this week's parsha is a reminder, just also because the Olympics are also coming, right? And what should be our attitude in life? You should always aim for the gold. Don't get me wrong. If you have a talent, you have to nurture it, you have to develop it, you have to become the best. But never at the expense of developing gold inside and the expense of sacrificing humility. Shabbat Shalom.